Welcome to the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast.
Every week, they talk about the Vancouver Canucks with a fair amount of nonsense thrown in.
Sure, they're never the first with the news, nor the best connected, and definitely more off the rails than on.
But they've been talking puck the longest, and that counts for something, right?
So strap in for the longest running, best mediocre Canucks hockey podcast.
It's C4 with Chris and Anna.
I'm Chris, she's Anna, we're back. It's been a week. Oscars happened, which is ultimately why this episode's a day late. Anna went to an Oscars party. She got all dressed up. She was looking fancy. She didn't dress like that for the podcast, let me tell you.
No, that's for damn sure. Thank you. It was funny just because I wrote like Oscars glam or whatever. My friend back home messaged me saying, did you go to the Oscars? I was like, no. Believe me, I would have been shouting out about it quite a bit more.
Yeah, you did look pretty darn good, let me tell you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun. Everyone was really dressed up at the Rio Theater, and, you know, I kind of like it. It's a good bit.
I would have dressed like Adam Sandler if I had gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Adam Sandler and the way he was dressed is ultimately how I dress all the time.
And for viewers who haven't seen it, he's dressed exactly how you're picturing.
Chalamet!
Exactly.
Yeah, no, we're going to talk about the Vancouver Canucks, not the Oscars. Though, one might suggest talking about the Oxfords, Oscar the Grouch, I don't know, would be just as entertaining as the Vancouver Canucks week happened to be, or maybe a little bit more, I don't know.
Talking about disappointment in California.
Gosh, there's so many, I can't think of the word right now because I'm an old man, parallels, thank you, between all of that. Good call. You're smart. That's why I would pay you the big bucks, Anna. Now we're going to talk about the fact that the Vancouver Canucks chose to prove us wrong a little bit. And I mean, a little bit in the sense that, you know, we kind of got a little bit right, but then we really got it wrong. But that was because the Vancouver Canucks don't know what it means to protect a 2-goal lead. We'll get into the fact that the Vancouver Canucks have some issues, which is not a surprise. And the fact that there is a deadline straight ahead. This episode, as we're recording, it could be stale as 7-week-old bread, which, trust me, ain't the best.
Yeah. Things move fast in hockey. Life comes at you fast. So, yeah, even by tomorrow when we put this out, we could have news.
We could. So, you know what? Let's not dilly-dally any further. We'll jive into rewind. I think I just said jive into rewind.
You did, but you know.
Jump, and then I changed it to dive. First syllable already out the mouth.
Don't worry, it sounded gruel.
Very gruel. The Vancouver Canucks got the week underway doing exactly what we thought they would, right?
Well, yes, they got 2 points, so that's exactly what we said was going to happen. But also, it was the most predictable thing in the world, really, that LA Kings just played trap hockey for, 2 periods.
Yeah, and thinking back to the episode last, I had suggested that, hey, the Vancouver Canucks are going to win one of those 2 California games, and they're going to lose one of the games. And I had sort of presumed, as you did, that the Vancouver Canucks were going to lose to the Kings. They were going to beat the Ducks. I think you and I, to use the words that come to mind, there's no way they can lose to the Ducks. Well, the Kings game, as you'd suggested, it was boring hockey. It's not good when you have a team who's parking the bus and a team that's coached by Rick Tocchet.
Yeah, it's just like what happens when stoppable force meets a movable object, but they're just moving so slowly towards each other.
It was painful, and I tuned in. I watched the entirety of this game.
Same.
And the Canucks, they get things going pretty early. They get that goal. Then they get that second goal. And hey, It's a 2-goal lead. The Vancouver Canucks, they've got this on lock, right?
Yeah, like, unfortunately, that's not how Canucks hockey works. But yeah, it's just like if LA were trying to bore their opponents into submission, like, it worked. Canucks stopped playing at a certain point.
Well, is it that the Vancouver Canucks stopped playing, or is it the fact that the Vancouver Canucks were surprised and shocked that they had found a way to score 2 goals in that game? And then, upon finding themselves, lacking momentum, tried everything in their possible power to lose. Like, just want to talk about the second LA goal. So the goal is scored on what replay shows might be a high stick, not certain, hard to tell, right? Like, it's used to be, you could say, oh, if the stick was above the shoulders, no goal. Stick was above the crossbar, no goal. Like, you could sort of tell. Now, you can't. So we'd seen, I think, maybe one angle. And the Vancouver Canucks, for whatever reason, decided maybe they wanted to buy the, situation room more time. Instead of calling the timeout that they still possess, chose instead to go a different path. Let's challenge goaltender interference. We haven't seen any replay that's shown this. So then, we then see the closest thing to a replay, and it's like, oh God, why'd you do that? The LA Kings have just tied it up, and you're going to take a bench minor for a delay of game.
Because there's no way it was goalie interference. Like,
no, not at all. Like,
we can disagree with the fact that I think it is crazy that you can't challenge for high stick.
A high stick,
because it's like they can bring it back for a high stick, but they also, a ref can say that was goaltender interference, right? It's like, if it's a rule that prevents a goal, to me it's a bit mad, but, that's the rule. They know the rules.
Yeah, and, arguably, it mattered very little, because the Situation Room would have been reviewing whether it was a high stick or not, and they had made the determination that the referees weren't going to be told that it was a high stick. The referees didn't ask, as far as we know, for guidance on that. Regardless, the Vancouver Canucks are now on a penalty kill, having given up the tying goal against a Kings team that seemed to be much more invigorated in the period that the Vancouver Canucks were. So much so they peppered the Canucks for 11 shots in that period. Those 11 shots were almost as many as the Canucks had actually shot in the entirety of the game. It was 16 shots for the first 3 periods for the Vancouver Canucks, and the Kings got 11 just in the third alone. Thankfully, the Vancouver Canucks chose not to give up the go-ahead goal in the third period, and that gets us into overtime, where what do they go and do within the first minute? Put themselves on the penalty kill.
Yep. They said that wasn't challenging enough to go on the penalty kill immediately after giving up the game-tying goal. Yeah. Let's put this PK to work.
And, thankfully, the LA Kings, while moving the puck around real fast, weren't able to get many pucks towards the net. And Lankinen made the, was it, I think, 2 saves he needed to. But lo and behold, Connor Garland scores a goal in the dying seconds of OT. The Vancouver Canucks win the game. And as I commented on social media, I can't believe the Canucks won that. Are we certain that that's the case?
Yeah, they certainly made it hard for themselves. While we're talking about existential kind of rules in hockey and what is a penalty, what's not, that penalty in overtime, what the hell? That was so cool what Drew O'Connor did, and the fact that has to be a penalty is just especially given what was being called.
Yeah, when I saw it happen in real time, I was like, he got the puck. How is that a penalty? But when you look at the replay, he does get the puck first, but as he's swinging his stick, he I don't remember who it was that was on the partial break. He takes them out at the feet, which completely removes them from the play and the recovery of the puck.
Okay, but he doesn't like.
Well,
it's not a game. It's definitely not a goal scoring opportunity because he no longer
No, but the way
hockey
looks at that is you now have the Vancouver Canucks going back up the ice and gaining advantage. I mean, to use a soccer or football parlance here, if I come in with a clean tackle, get the ball, clear it away, but my trailing leg takes yours down, what's going to happen?
Okay, but if you, in football, you are, going with both, if you tackle and you take the ball, if you take the ball and they trip over your leg...
But see,
that's not foul.
Trailing. I'm talking about the trailing leg.
I mean, right? I think it's so hard to... Because one person is running and one person is skating, but yeah...
But in the situation we're in soccer, if my trailing leg after I've cleared the ball is what brings you down, I have committed a foul, right? Soccer and hockey are not the same.
Yeah,
but that's ultimately what happened here. It was the swinging of the stick. I think if he dives and hits the puck, and his stick's prone on the ice, and then whoever it was trips over it, I don't know if it's a penalty, but his stick is swinging all the way around. Momentum ain't going to stop. Hits the puck and then takes the player out. If there's no puck there, and he dives and trips someone,
this is
penalty, right?
Again much of muchness. That's the way they call it. I think that should be called that way. But yes, they did do well in the PK, especially MPD or MP3 or whatever we're calling him.
Mm-hmm.
Dragon. That's the other one.
So the Vancouver Canucks get themselves the 2 points out of Los Angeles, and that has them going in Anaheim, a team who arguably the Vancouver Canucks should not lose to. So game gets underway. I didn't actually get to watch much of it because I was at the Whitecaps match against Saprissa. It was their CONCACAF Club Championship match.
Okay.
And a friend of the show, Jay, was there with me. We were watching the game. Jay's, showing me highlights. I saw the Tyler Myers goal, and we see that P.S. Suter scored again. P.S. Shooter, as his new name is. Vancouver Canucks are up 2-0. They got this one on lock, right?
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? I was out drinking on the Thursday, so I did not see any of this, which is probably for the best. Obviously, Tyler Myers has, a titanium neck because he was right back on the ice and doing Tyler Myers things.
Didn't mention that in LA where he took a puck. When I saw the initial sort of shot of that Tyler Myers puck block, I thought it went square in his face.
Yeah, me too.
When he was rolling on the ice, I was like, oh my God, this is bad. Then they showed the replay and it got him in the neck. Then I'm even more concerned because it's like there's a lot of things that could go wrong, hit an artery or a vein.
Yeah.
Caused it to rupture or something like that.
Now we know he's okay. I think it is okay to joke about, and the fact I did see a tweet that said, how has this not happened before?
There's a whole lot of neck to hit,
Yeah. Why tug it, but yeah.
Tyler, takes out his pain and suffering against the Anaheim Ducks early in the first period. Vancouver Canucks at the end of 2-goal lead. Got this unlocked. No need to watch the rest of the game. And if you didn't, good for you.
Yeah, smart choice. Canucks also didn't really play the rest of the game, so, probably a good choice.
Did you? So, I have made it very clear in how many ever years this podcast has been going, I don't go back and watch a game in its entirety. I might go and watch highlights. Even that's hard now because, local news television doesn't really include sports to that extent. Sportsnet and TSN, it's all Toronto and all that, and basketball and whatnot first. It's rough. So having seen the result, a 5-2 loss to the Anaheim Ducks, decided it wasn't really in my interest to go and review the game. So I'm not going to even go and claim to know what transpired. But when I look at the number of shots that the Vancouver Canucks got on net in the second period, that was, that seemed to be, comforting that the Vancouver Canucks, chose to shoot the puck. The problem is that it seems that the Anaheim Ducks also chose to shoot the puck and score 3 goals in 11 shots. So it was Shelos not looking so good? I don't know.
So, I mean, I feel like I've been a bit facetious, but yes, I didn't watch the game. I watched the extended highlights, and that was mainly only because I was watching Emilia Perez, and that was too painful. So I decided the less painful option was Canucks Ducks highlights. But by all accounts, I do think Canucks maybe played a lot better than the score sheet suggests.
I mean, they got power plays late in the second, early in the first. Granted, the Vancouver Canucks power play isn't all that powerful.
Nice. But yeah, like, it's hard to see how, like, they could have played much worse than the score sheet suggests, given the 5-0, like, outscoring.
The 5 unanswered goals for the Anaheim Ducks to win the game. 5-2.
Yeah.
Well, so Ducks get the win, Canucks get the loss. You and I, we did say 2 points out of California. Again, let's make it clear. Yeah, you were a little bit more on that they're going to beat the Ducks. I was like, I think they could beat the Kings, but then if they do, they're not going to beat the Ducks. But regardless, I'm going to give it to both of us. We got that right. 2 points out of California.
Sure.
That gets us into the game against the Kraken on a Saturday. So Vancouver goes into Seattle. Seattle not having the hottest of seasons. They've got their own issues they're trying to sort out. And the Vancouver Canucks do what they are really good at doing. The difference is that they didn't get themselves to a 2-goal lead, but they did ensure that they left the period with 2 goals and a 2-1 lead after 1. Game's on lock. No need to watch the rest of it. Go Canucks, go.
Yeah, once again, sadly not quite how it panned out. Yeah, I was watching this game and just it became increasingly frustrating. Yes, a couple of the Seattle goals were actually very cool and impressive, and I certainly think that Lankinen isn't to blame here. Like, everyone was just giving up in front of him. You probably want him to have at least one of those goals, but, like, Canucks gave up. Like, it looked like the end of a 10-game road trip where they've poured their guts out. Yeah. I was just insanely frustrating. I don't know what else to say, but, like, they are... Kevin Bieksa has said they're an, like, easy game team to play against, and I think that's, like, incredibly generous, almost, of him, because, yeah, it's like they're still playing that hockey that we talked about, the 80s hockey, but they don't have the offensive firepower to do that.
Yeah, so the Hedl goal, real nice. Really like the Hedl goal. Hedl, and we've talked sort of about this since the trade, has looked like he wants to do stuff with the puck. He is creative, and Vancouver Canucks need more of that. There's one, an aspect of that type of game that's exciting, but two, it's what you see confident teams making happen throughout their lineup. The Vancouver Canucks just aren't a confident team. I don't think really at any point in the game the Vancouver Canucks looked like a confident team. It didn't occur to me that Seattle was ever out of it. Obviously, they weren't. Now, Vancouver's spotting themselves the 2-1 lead, only to then see themselves down 3-2. But, hey, the Dakota Joshua goal to tie it up, it was shorthanded. You'd think that would reinvigorate the team and provide it that, like, they need to then, kick it up a notch, take it to another gear. It did not. The Vancouver Canucks simply couldn't string passes together. Their zone entries were horrible. Yep. At no point in time did Joy Decor break a sweat, it felt like, despite the fact that the Vancouver Canucks were throwing shots his way.
Yeah, that's the thing. Can we stop making, like, I know he is being paid like a star goalie, pretty much, but Canucks made him look like one. He didn't have to do much. Like, 6 shots in the middle frame there, like, and then, like you say, they didn't come out firing in the third either, which is just like insane to me at this stage. Talking about confidence, I mean, like, we haven't really talked about Quinn Hughes.
Oh, well, yeah.
Like, but Quinn Hughes has been carrying the team for at least this entire season. He came back into the lineup somewhat unexpected against LA. Was decent enough.
Got thumped.
Yep.
Thumped around. The Canucks were actually dressing 7 defensemen and then chose not to dress a 7th defenseman against Seattle.
Yeah. And Quinn didn't have a great game, but, like, give the guy a break.
Well, Quinn got run over, and
he's the Bukayo Saka of the Canucks. People target him, and he just keeps going as best he can. I don't know when it was that Quinn took his last shift. I could go, I guess, dig through the but it was
stats.
Not. Yeah, it was 10 minutes left.
Yeah, I think 10 minutes left in the third, and then the Vancouver Canucks had an empty net for the final 5-ish minutes of the game. Yeah. Granted, Seattle scored in those 5 minutes, but Quinn didn't see the ice.
Yeah.
And it was because of his body just taking a beating. It has now been announced that he's out, hopefully not long term, but if there's one thing you can really take to the bank is the Vancouver Canucks and their injury reports being completely accurate.
Yeah, no doubt they've been completely honest.
Hashtag facetious.
Yeah.
Yeah, Quinn's injury is where we really started to see things fall apart with this team. Now this is actually going back some time. There's some suggestion that maybe he came back a little earlier than he should have to try to steady the load. And if that were to be true, holy smokes. And I he is the guy you build the team around. We're going to talk more about this. Half full, half empty. I am genuinely concerned, and this is not about, the captain's got to show and, play by example and blah, 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 blah. The guy is the core.
Yeah. I mean, without PD coming back, and we've seen flashes of his old self, but it's not come to any fruition yet. Without, we've got some depth scoring. Do we have some secondary scoring? Not really. It does seem like
we don't have primary scoring.
Yeah.
The depth. The thing is, you said we have depth scoring. That's true. The depth is scoring. There's no secondary, and there's no primary.
Yeah, Quinn Hughes is part of our offensive, primary scoring talent at this point. Niels Höglander seems to be blossoming in a top 6 role. Who'd have thunk? Who's been there's been so many people crying out for that. Given he's one of the only people PD has chemistry with. And Dakota Joshua, after the cancer and the injury, really seems to be doing better. But, that's not, we should not be depending on those people, right? It should be Pedersen. It should be Brock Besser. These are the people that need to be stepping up. And now they're not.
They're not. I mean, PD, I'm a believer that PD will find his game. I genuinely worry he'll find his game in potentially another city, something we'll talk about later. Mm-hmm. But you can see that he is getting absolutely no bounces. He's getting absolutely no look. There was a complete whiff. I want to say it was in the second period against Seattle where, a few seasons past, PD scores from the right side hash marks. This one, you can tell he had everything lined up. Everything was going well, except that, execution part, complete whiff. We saw in, I guess it was LA, fired a puck over the net when he would otherwise, pick the corner. He's not getting, any puck luck. That's not the difference.
Right. And people talked about this, I think, in the game against Anaheim, the Canucks as a whole, maybe they didn't get the puck luck in that game, but luck follows around the hardest working people, right? Canucks do not do anything.
PD was the last one off the ice today at practice.
Oh, thank God for that.
Hashtag hardest working player.
And this isn't even an attack on Pedersen. I feel like we'll probably get into this more in full, half empty but yes, it's a big gaping hole. Let's put it that way.
So anyhow, the Vancouver Canucks, on a day that they could have made some moves in the standings because of all the teams around them finding ways to lose points.
The mid-off in the West.
The Vancouver Canucks chose to keep things, fair and square and lost points themselves. So the fact that they only got 2 points out of a possible 3 games, and one of those games they gave a point to a team that they could potentially be catching up to hypothetically down the road, probably never going to happen, hurts. But that takes us into the week that will be. So they're back at home. The Vancouver Canucks will actually have 4 games at home before they go on one of those weird 1-game road trips. They're going to be taking on the Anaheim Ducks on Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. puck drop because of maybe the Ducks, I don't know, 30 minutes later on a Wednesday for some reason. They'll be taking on the Minnesota Wild on Friday night. And then a slightly earlier puck drop at home against the Dallas Stars on Sunday. It's a 6 p.m. puck drop. So, Anna, we got the Ducks, the Wild, and the Stars all at home.
I mean, they can't lose to Anaheim again, can they? Canucks will always defy expectations of what's possible, and that's beautiful. It's hard to see them, especially with their home form. Obviously their road form isn't that much better right now, but it's hard to see them beating either Minnesota or Dallas. Although Joel Eriksson Ek is now out for weeks, months, years, so that's something, but Okay, 2 points.
2 points out of the
6. Out of 6.
Who are you taking the 2 points away
Anaheim.
from? Anaheim. Okay, so the Canucks are going to beat the Ducks. They're going to lose to the Wild. And I think they're going to steal a point out of the Stars.
Ooh.
There's just something about the Stars and Vancouver.
Did Jake Oettinger die?
No, I don't think so. It's the whole ownership battle part, Gallardi's versus the Aquilinis. There just seems to be something about the Canucks and Stars. I'm gonna give them 3 points. I'm an optimistic podcaster, and you pessimist.
I know.
You're not a real fan.
I know. It's so true.
Oh, anyhow, it sucks though because 3 points is just not enough for the Vancouver Canucks to continue to gain ground. Though, in fairness, I mean the way the Flames have been playing as of late.
Yeah, I would just never underestimate Canucks' ability to disappoint you, but also the West's ability to just collapse at some point.
Oh, anywho, you said 2, I said 3. We'll be back at some point next week to recap. I mean, the Canucks play on the night that we would normally record. We'll probably record that night, maybe a little bit later for the Canucks game. Who knows? We'll figure that out. But we're going to take a short break while we do figure things out. You're listening to the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast, brought to you by Anna and Chris.
Take hitting out of the game. You can't hit anymore, so don't do it.
The unsportsmanlike conduct, I want to get an explanation on it.
No kidding.
Because how do you get suspended for unsportsmanlike conduct?
Plus interference. There's no interference there. He had the puck.
Now, Madison never ever did that before. Now, why did he do it? And that because he was mad.
Well, your early favorite for the Calder Trophy, that's for sure. Elias Pettersson, you might even say your early favorite for the Hart Trophy.
Just to get back to your question, Elias is going to play plenty. He's going to get a lot of power play time. And, yeah, I'm concerned about our offense. We lost 200-point players, and we've got to find a way to score.
As of recording, the Vancouver Canucks have not made any additional deals. There were deals happening all weekend long. What's interesting is there hasn't been any rumor or any smoke that the Vancouver Canucks have, their front office in the kitchen serving something up. When the JT Miller deal was happening, I mean, the smoke was every which way. Didn't matter where you were looking.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot of drama. Obviously, we have heard stuff about negotiations with Brock Besser's camp and offers.
Yeah.
But, what was it, Friday that we heard about the 5-year offer from the Canucks and,
Yeah, it was rumored to be 5 years, $8 million.
Yeah. I'd be fine with that, but I don't think Brock Besser's not going to...
Why would you you're giving money up?
Yeah, of course. And he wants term. And that's completely, understandable for his point of view.
I think it's important. He wants term, but he's not going to take, 7 years at 6.
No, 100% not. But I think 5 years is too short for him.
Yeah, no, I mean, and he'll get it on the market. I think the fact that he has performed-ish consistently in the last couple of seasons, Vancouver's maybe not been the best environment this season. The market's going to pay him. And if he wants the term, he's going to get it. The fact that you look at last season, players that Canucks had sort of hoped to kind of maybe come back were able to get term and money. This is a player that's going to go get term and money. And if you were Brock Besser, you don't take a hometown discount to stick around for whatever the heck the show is here in Vancouver.
That's the thing. And I do think Brock's first choice is to stay in Vancouver, but just not at, an offer like that. And I feel like we probably were quite down on Brock Besser last week and also earlier in the podcast. But overall, he has been, one of the best players for Vancouver over the last couple of years and one of the most consistent scorers, but it's not enough, right?
Okay. So are you of the same opinion that the front office apparently is, in which that the Vancouver Canucks are a playoff team and you don't trade a player like Brock Besser without getting for back?
Well, they need to get the clock's ticking. They need to get something. We're not that's the thing.
That's the thing.
I know we don't have primary or secondary scoring right now, but let's not wait until the end of the season to see if Brock figures his game out in that time.
Okay. So, but back to my question, though, is that are you of the opinion that you trade him or you keep him? Because the word on the street is the Vancouver Canucks want for back. Otherwise, they will keep him under the concept of a rental.
Yeah, boo. No.
Because they're a playoff contender, Anna.
No, yes, 100% do not believe in that. Okay. Trade him or keep him. Yes, I believe in that. Either you come to some agreement to re-sign him or you trade him. And I take the best offer you can. Be shady, but be a shyster about it, whatever. But be a shark. But we can't be keeping him just because the offer's not quite good enough.
We're a playoff contender, Anna. Playoff contenders
I
are
feel
not sellers.
This is a good segue, maybe, too, to sort of talk about what's the cost of making the playoffs. Because for the ownership, it's any cost, right? Playoff revenue, even if...
Get us those 2 free games.
Yeah, exactly. Any playoff revenue is good, is worth it. And that's been shown time and time again. That's what ownership want. Mm-hmm. Whether that's I think we can both agree that Canucks are not cup contenders this year, but we can also both agree the West sucks and they might stumble into the playoffs. In fact, it's to me, I think I'm more confident of that than you because I am so confident in how much the West sucks.
Okay, I'm not of the opinion that the Vancouver Canucks don't make the playoffs. I kind of think they're going to find a way to squeak in.
Yeah.
And I am the type of guy that would normally subscribe to the you got to be in it to win it, and I've seen crazy things happen. That could happen with the Vancouver Canucks.
Blues.
But the Vancouver Canucks as a team, though, shouldn't be focused that everything we have gets us that you're in it to win it. The Vancouver Canucks should be looking at the future at this point. After the game against Seattle, I went very pessimistic, which is unusual for me. Long-term listeners know I'm a very, very much an optimist, #facetious. And I said, you trade anyone. Well, let me phrase that. I said, if the Canucks should make a deal for anyone not named Hughes, if a good offer comes in, sold. Like, if it's Petey, I don't want to see Petey go, but you get a good deal for Petey, you trade him. I don't want to lose Besser. I want him back as a Vancouver Canuck.
Yep.
I would be the guy whose heart would say, give him the term and the money, as silly as that would be. Get a good deal for Besser, trade him.
Yes.
If his name's not Hughes, he's available. Someone actually said, well, what about Lankinen? The Canucks need Lankinen. He's played so well. I agree. Lankinen's been great. If you get a good deal for him, trade him.
I know, exactly. Everything you're doing should be geared towards how do you make Quinn Hughes happy? How do you make Quinn Hughes stay? And if Quinn Hughes doesn't want the Canucks to be even into a quick retool, which may be the best path for success, maybe. I know there's some discussion online about that following the Seattle game. That might be the best path to success, but, like, make Quinn Hughes happy. Like, if he's willing to do that, then do that.
Well,
but he may not be.
Someone else then had said, well, it's been very clear that Quinn Hughes isn't going to stick through a rebuild. I genuinely haven't heard that, but I don't disagree.
Yeah.
If there is a rebuild.
I agree with that.
And, like, yeah, in 2 years' time, Quinn's joining his brothers in New Jersey or wherever it is he happens to go. But I don't feel I'm not saying you trade everything, blow everything up, and reset, though the Vancouver Canucks have not had a rebuild. As long as this podcast has been recording, there has never been a rebuild, and they've been no good.
But don't you just, like, it's infuriating, right? Because if instead of, I'm not saying Trevor Linden was, like, a genius, but if when he clashed with Jim Benning, because he said they needed a rebuild, if they had started it then, where would we be now?
Heck, the current front office could have gone and hit the reset button, and they would have been probably in better position. But that said, I don't feel that the Vancouver Canucks can do the rebuild now if it's to keep Quinn. Like that, the timing just doesn't work. There's no 1 year rebuild. But again, the Vancouver Canucks should be looking at whatever it is to make this team better. And if there's a deal to be had, sold.
Yeah, it's not that you trade everyone but Hughes. It's more you listen to deals on, like, every single player is on the market, so to speak. But, yes, the priority should be 100% be better. Like, either you can agree on something, and it does seem to be that that's not a priority for the Canucks. I feel like maybe it's not their final offer that they've given to him, but it's close. Like...
I believe you trade Besser. If you can't sign him by deadline, and there is a decent deal,
and
trade.
It's not a lot of time, right?
We'll be upset. You and I will shed.
Of course we will. Brock Besser's been a phenomenal player for the Canucks, and really wish it could have worked out differently. But yeah, I think if you can't sign him, you have to trade him. And Pedersen, I think we there's no point looking at it now. I think this is something you keep evaluating, but you cannot be afraid if at the end of the season and Canucks miss the playoffs or underperform in the playoffs and PD isn't there yet, definitely be listening to offers.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, you don't trade PD at the deadline, but you potentially entertain deals in the offseason before
the July 1st when his NMC
Okay.
restrictions kick in. That's what I was looking for.
If there's a good deal to be had, I don't want to trade PD, but But
the thing is,
maybe he as a player just needs a reset. Like, I want him to succeed. I want him to succeed in Vancouver.
To me,
but if he can't succeed in Vancouver,
I don't think
help Vancouver succeed.
Stock goes down.
Oh no! I'm not suggesting
in the rest of the
value
season
at the deadline. But do you think that the value goes up in that short window of the off season?
No,
while teams are still in the playoffs.
But I think what you're doing there is buying yourself time and PD time.
Okay, but like, in fairness, what do they have to evaluate PD further on? Like, I'm not. I actually agree. He's probably hurt. Like, I agree. There's
I think
something physical that's impacting his game. I don't think that's the only thing that's impacting his game.
No,
There's
I
a whole
agree.
package
Obviously,
of problems. But still, if you've known PD since his front office has taken over, you signed PD to a long-term deal. You had faith there, and the one glimpse we got this season during that stretch that Miller had been suspended before he got, PD got injured, which we know he got hurt. Like, the team accepted that there was an injury there, not the injury he's probably dealing with. The team seems to refuse to accept. Is that just not enough time to evaluate? Because if it's not, then what's an additional month and a half, 2 months?
Okay, but my opinion would be this isn't like Brock Besser, who you've had like years to evaluate. Like, this is Pedersen has been like, there's a reason he got the contract he does have because of like the way he has played up until a year ago. When he probably got injured. Since then, he's been dealing on and off with injury and a giant feud with a teammate that was clearly making him very unhappy. He's lost confidence. These sound like excuses. I don't believe he has an excuse. But I hate hearing that. Well, what's his excuse? What's his excuse? Okay, like, he doesn't have an excuse. He's playing poorly. He's playing really poorly, but like, I don't think punishing him or us makes him play better. Like, I think you give him the best possible grounds to succeed, which I still don't believe he has had, like, for an extended period of time. Like, the way his line mates...
when I was sitting with him, is that Petey and Höglander together
it's a beautiful thing.
Have some of the best metrics this season. And for whatever reason, those two can't play together. Like, now, Petey should be able to play well with just about anyone on the
And agreed. But he's not. So why are we punishing ourselves further?
Something that might actually work. Why not give it a try? It's worked before. So, like, I just, you got to give the opportunity to succeed. I don't disagree with anything that you're saying there. I agree. Like, the whole thing this past week was the comment that he made about the media. And this is the funny thing about that. There are people like, oh, no, he's blaming the media for his poor play. Does this fan base not know Petey when he says stuff like that? Like, his sense of humor is such that I think he was trying to make light of the situation.
Yeah.
And it fell flat. First rule of being funny is to be funny. But he wasn't blaming the media. He was trying to be funny. Like,
like, I didn't love the comment either, because I do think it was it was in poor taste, right? Like, it was him trying to be funny, and I think it was just like,
well, it's
don't
no different
do that.
Than, like, Mike Gillis back in the day making a comment about Bob Marjanovic. Mike thought he was trying to be funny, and he made a personal comment about the Moj, right? But being funny, be funny.
I also, think that it's been made a huge deal of that, like, it's just like, anytime another player says something remotely positive, oh, see, compared to the, like, he's got an A in his jersey and he can't even say anything positive ever. Like, we don't need to compare it all the time. But yeah, I do think that there is a poor attitude from this team, and it starts with the management, and it starts with Patrick Allvin about the media. I don't mean that they're like always deal negatively with the media, but I do think they can be a bit testy with the media, and considering how lightly they've gotten off in this market, like, they barely have any media on road trips most of the time. Most of the time, their players are getting in-house media. And they have controlled the narrative so much this season. And I think they dealt with the JT PD thing poorly. I think Rick Tocchet and Quinn Hughes were good about it. But, like, the management were not. So I do think overall there is a poor attitude towards the media, but I didn't think PD's comment was like as big a deal maybe as everyone else did.
Well, I mean, when PD made the comment, I interpreted it as like, well, he's trying to be funny. Like that's what it was to me. It wasn't funny, but he was trying to. I saw an attempt. An attempt was made. Okay, so you say hold PD. I say I'm not saying trade him, but I like you get a deal. You don't say I'm evaluating.
No, I think it's more just like you're going to get offers. You're going to get legit offers because
and if you get a legit offer, so you're in the.
But I'm saying you're going to get
seat. You get a legit offer for PD.
I say,
are you evaluating?
No, we're going to get a legit offer for him in the summer if his play doesn't improve.
No, you are sitting in the hot seat right now, Anna. Trade deadline day is here. You got a legit offer for PD on your desk. What are you saying?
I think it would have to be astounding for me to agree.
I agree that you'll get a legit offer in the off season.
Yeah, so I would say no.
You have a legit offer right now. Okay, so you subscribe to the theory, if they're not named PD or Hughes, trade them. I say if they're not named Hughes. This is legit offers. This isn't fire sale. It's not clearance. Everything must go.
If it was an astounding offer, then yes.
Well, I guess it comes down to, like, I'm talking about a legitimate. I don't know if it's astounding. I simply define it as legitimate. A legitimate
Then I say no,
offer.
Because I think you're going to get that in the summer. So there's no need to panic.
Anna's not trading PD. PD forever.
Yeah.
Exactly, verbatim.
Yeah.
Take it to the bank.
Yeah. Put that on the podcast title.
Anyhow, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? We could be talking right now. PD gets traded tomorrow for a bag of sticks, a couple hockey pucks. Probably to, I don't know. What team would we
Carolina
see him play all the time? No, Carolina we would only see once in a while.
I know, but that's what will go.
No. Trade PD to Edmonton so Edmonton could have Pettersson, McDavid, Draisaitl. Although Edmonton actually currently has some cap space issues that they need to sort out, so
yeah,
he's not going to Edmonton. Here we are, end of a show. Lots is going to happen. When we come back to you in 1 week's time, we'll be talking about everything that has happened or everything that didn't occur and what does it mean for the Vancouver Canucks. Because we are fast approaching deadline day.
Like, it's kind of snuck up. It is soon, so Patrick, Jim, quick reminder, it's soon.
Time to get cracking?
Yeah.
Is that what they say in Seattle? Hey, Kraken, get cracking.
Hope not.
Okay. I will admit when the Seattle Kraken score goals, I like how they could take grunge and insert "Let's go Kraken," and it works.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of grunge, the musical legacy of Seattle's a pretty good one, so, and I think they make use of it.
Yeah, they do. So if you reach this point of the show, it's probably about time that we remind you can support us on a monetary basis through Buy Me a Coffee, or as Anna and I like to call it,
Buy Me a Pint.
And you just go to buymeacoffee.com/C4podcast or go to c4podcast.com, click the support the show link or buy me a coffee link. And you get there to, maybe throw us a few bucks to buy a pint or two on a one-off basis. If you do that, we love you. We thank you. We shout your name from the podcast rooftops. But if you support us on a regular basis, either monthly or annually, and that starts at like $5 a month or $50 for the year, you get access to all of that and more. It's OTR that you're going to get to enjoy. Now, OTR is off the rails. It's where Anna and I just riff on all sorts of different things. Sometimes the episodes are like, yeah, let's talk about X. And next thing you know, we're on the letter Q. There's no rhyme, no reason. If you were wondering where OTR was last week, I forgot to publish it. It went live today. I know. I'm really a horrible podcast host, producer guy.
Yeah.
Horrible. But yeah, we'll be recording an episode of OTR at the end of this show, and I haven't a clue what we're going to talk about, Anna, so we should probably figure out before we do. If you want to follow us on all the social medias, the podcast is at the C4 Podcast on X, at the Real C4 Podcast on Threads, at c4podcast.com on Blue Sky. And you'll find Anna and I and all the socials as well. I'm at Lightforce. She's at E4603. That's pretty consistent, though, on Blue Sky. I'm at lightforce.ca. Your a4603.bsky.social. Anna, any kind of final words of wisdom for our listeners this week?
Coleman Domingo should have an Oscar by now. Yeah.
I was just going to say, when you get older, make sure you stretch before going and taking part in any physical activity. Not as thoughtful as your final words of wisdom. But I'm growing old. My body
It's good advice. What are they going to do with mine? So
deep thought. Whereas me, I don't know.
Stretch.
Yeah. So on behalf of Anna, A4603, myself, Chris at Lightforce, signing off this week's episode with We Out.